I'm Martine Leduc.
I'm Ginger Rem.
And this is Life Science at a Social Distance. We're here at Beekeeper Rescue learning more about bees from our series. Behind me is Jeffrey and his assistant John, and they're looking for one of their calm hives to bring out and show us.
Hey, so now guys, we're actually looking inside the hives. These are ones that actually have been requeened and should actually be gentle. So we're gonna see if it's been long enough that all the older, more aggressive bees have died off, and we can actually bring a hive over for a little closer examination.
All right, so it looks like Jeffrey and John has found a hive of bees that are less aggressive than some of the others, right?
Yeah, this was one of the ones that's been requeened. So these were just moved in here probably a couple of weeks ago. They're working, there's some baby bees in here and stuff. Queen bee is laying eggs in it, so there's baby bees that haven't hatched. And they're also collecting pollen and nectar. Now our goal is for this colony to actually build out into these other frames. So what they have over here, like we discussed earlier, is the starter frames with a wax on them, okay? And if you look real close, there's bees. Oh, right here's our queen bee. We rarely see that right up, but
let me see
her crawling right there?
Let me see.
The big golden queen?
Yep, I see her. Wow,
So,
yeah, she doesn't have any stripes.
Nope, and she's much bigger than the others.
Yeah.
As we had mentioned earlier, we actually have moved them out of the nuke into this bigger box called a hive. And if you look, I'm gonna pull up a couple of these frames. They have started working already. And even though the rubber band's holding it together, it's connected at the bottom. And you can see all of these little darker areas, that's connected and capped over, that's brood. That's where the queen has laid eggs. And they've actually gone through the growth stage of a larvae to the point that they're capped over to go through maturation. And actually eventually, when they go through metamorphosis, they'll emerge as an adult baby bee, a little girl bee. If you look really close on this side, I think there's a few that you can see that are not quite capped yet. It's in the process. See, but you can tell, I mean, these are natural bees that are not aggressive at all. Even as you're standing this close, they're not really bothering you. They're just letting you check stuff out. No, not a big deal. Here's another frame. Obviously, again, attached well. Some brood in the middle. Doing pretty well at attaching it. Not cut any of the rubber bands off of that one yet, thank goodness. And there's a ton of worker bees. And if you look real closely, some of this color stuff in there, and I don't know if you can tell the color yet, but that is actually the pollen. And they press that in there, they call it bee bread. That actually becomes what is the protein that they feed the baby bees. Oh, and even though they're rare, right there's you a drone, that's a boy bee. See how he's big and fat?
Yeah.
Short and fat, that one's black with some gold stripes.
He's cute.
And he doesn't have stingers, so he couldn't sting you, but he's just fat and wanders around and eats and waits for them to have a big breed. He is furrier than the other ones. Yep.
Nice. And the worker bees live how long?
A worker bee in the summer may work themselves to death literally in a month. In the winter, when it's cooler, they're not as active. They'll live 3 or 4 months. You know, it's one of those things that's totally dependent on how much they work and what they're doing, because they really have dedicated their entire life to the colony. They're not independent in any way.
Yeah. The whole colony seems to be dependent on each other.
They are. They actually function like pretty much like one solitary organism, but they just have a whole lot of members. You know, it's the collective sort of mentality.
It kind of reminds me of an ant colony.
Very much so.
I hope you've enjoyed learning more about beehives and how they work together as colonies. This is Martine and Jeffrey and John. Thanks for watching.